Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. Proverbs 3:9-10. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing curried goat, one of my favorites. So first things first, we're starting off with cleansing our meat. I put lemon, vinegar, salt, lime, and water, and I rinsed it through 3 times total. You want to make sure your meat is thoroughly cleaned and the blood is out. We're starting off with turmeric. This is optional. It's up to you. I know it's not a common ingredient in meat dishes, but I like to add it to mine. We're also going to go in and add onion powder, of course, though we are putting real actual onion into it. I like to layer the flavors, but then we're going to go to garlic powder. You can be as generous as you'd like. We're going to add some black pepper. And if we add pepper, you know we have to add salt too. So we're going to go ahead and be careful with salt because all of our other ingredients add additional salt. Next, we're going to go ahead in there with some paprika. And like I said, you can be as generous as you like. Then, of course, you must have Maggie's all-purpose seasoning. Maggie, like I said, is a Jamaican staple that is used in most predominantly in meals, and we're also adding allspice pimento seed, which is also a very important ingredient. Some people crush theirs up. You can also get it already grinded into powder. I know we're not cooking chicken, but I like to go in also and add some Maggie's chicken season up, which adds nice flavor to the mix. And as you can see, we're adding minced ginger, which is like my favorite. Like I said, discovery in the last video. It adds nice flavor if you don't want to spend time slicing and dicing actual ginger root. And we're adding some green seasoning. You can make your own if you have a blender with all the different scallion, peppers, onions, everything mixed. But I like to buy mine in a jar for right now. We're also adding minced garlic as well. I want to briefly do a curry education. I tend to use Better Pack curry powder. There's all kinds of different curries you can use, but Better Pack seems to be very rich in flavor. And my grandfather was from Spanish Town. He swore by it. So I go with Better Pack powdered curry. I also use liquid curry. One thing about curry powder, if it's not burned, or it's really toasting curry before you cook it so that it kind of opens up the flavor and toxins. If you don't do that, you will end up on the toilet. We call it running belly. This curry can definitely hurt your stomach if not prepared properly, and that is a real thing. I've experienced it myself. So I tend to use liquid. It holds great flavor and it doesn't really have the same GI issues in the stomach. So that's more of a safer curry to use. But I like the flavor in both, so I use both. And I really don't have to use a large amount. A small amount takes you a long way, especially with the powder. But if you're doing simply liquid, you can put as much as you would like. But I'm being very moderate with how much powder I'm putting on the meat. And if you're going to sit it overnight anyway, the flavor will be saturated into it, the curry taste. But Better Pack is always a great go-to. Okay, next I want to talk about Scotch bonnet pepper. I should have went over that in my oxtail video, but I did not. I was rushing to do everything. So Scotch bonnet pepper is extremely hot, right? I'm a person that really likes spice, so I don't mind heat. But if you're feeding children or just general population, especially people who aren't Caribbean, it is a bit much. So what I tend to do, a lot of people just keep the whole pepper complete without cutting it up and putting it into anything,
or they'll poke holes into it and sit it inside of a dish, and they'll give it the same flavor. What I like to do is cut where the stem is inside, almost the way you would cut a green pepper, and just slice the skin off, leaving the seed beside it. Do not put the seeds inside of whatever dish you're cooking, or else it'll be smoking hot. Depending on who I'm cooking for, I would take it away completely, because people really can't tolerate heat these days, and they don't really like a heavy spice to their dish. But Scotch bonnet gives a really nice flavor that makes a Jamaican dish really a Jamaican dish to me. If you're not going to use jerk seasoning like I like to use in other dishes that also carry Scotch bonnet pepper, then you can simply add the Scotch bonnet skin and it will do the same job, but not so spicily. So I'm going to slice that up and show you what that looks like as we put in our veg, so that we can add to the mix and refrigerate it for 2 days. As you can see, I've left the majority of the seeds inside of the pepper, and I'm going to just dice up the skin and add it to the pot. Okay, so we see it all nice and chopped up. I'm going to just throw the Scotch bonnet there. I'm going to add some bell pepper. And I'm going to put additional vegetables in the middle of the process. You want to continue to layer your vegetables so that the flavor and the seasoning remains in the dish. Okay, and I have some scallion or green onion as well. And I have some thyme. And I'm going to stir that all up and get the flavors moving around so they can sit for several hours. I'm going to try to do 2 days or so. I'm doing this on a Thursday night for Saturday. Okay, ladies, if you just got your nails done, I would not suggest putting your hand in this bowl and turning your fingernails yellow. You could wash your hands after, but if you're like me and like to keep your manicure unyellow the next day, stir it with a spoon. I only have 2 pounds total, so this time I have plenty of room in my bowl to mix everything around. So let's get that stirred in. All right, look how pretty that is. Nice clean meat. I did not show the cleaning process, but I did rinse it with vinegar, lime, and salt and water a couple times, at least 3 times. But yeah, so get that all mixed in, cover it, put it in the fridge, and you're good. The longer you keep it in there, the better the flavor will be when somebody bites into the meat. And let me just say, this combination of seasonings, it smells so good, and it hasn't even started cooking yet. That's why the process of marination is so important, because you want to make sure every seasoning you put in really locks into the meat. So you can do an hour before for 30 minutes, but the longer you go overnight, especially, the flavor will hit even harder. So I showed the allspice berries, the pimento seeds, but you can also add the powdered allspice, which is the same thing ground like I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna throw some of that in. It's only been in the fridge. It smells good. It's gonna be a little heavier. Sorry. Okay. It was only been in the fridge for like 2 or 3 hours, but it's going to be there for a few days. So I want to make sure I have a good amount of allspice. Okay.
All right, we are ready to get the process started and cooking. Let's go. All right, first things first, we're going to start with my favorite cooking oil, which is coconut oil. I'm just going to get a spoonful and get it ready to toast the curry like I talked about. It's important to burn your curry for a few moments just so that everything releases and is able to cook into the meat properly. So some people don't believe this is a real thing or a need, but I believe in toasting my curry. Burn the curry or else you're gonna have running belly. That's the rule. And as you can see, it's bubbling very nicely. You don't want to burn it, so be mindful. Don't take your eyes off of it while it's burning some. Now we're going in and adding our meat to the pot. We want it really to get some of that coconut flavor in. And I'm going to put the full 3 pounds in there and cover it for about 5 minutes. And then we're going to get ready to add some water to the mix. All right, we're going back in there with some water. And like I say in the last video, you want to use the mixing bowl, whatever you use to marinate your meat in. Keep it handy because we're going to put hot water because we don't want to stop the cooking process, and we're going to fill the pot and cover the meat. Always keep the seasonings present. Don't try to get rid of it and wash it. You can use that seasoning. Don't waste the money. Don't waste all the time spent marinating it and seasoning it. You can still use every bit of seasoning. So that's what we're doing here. And we're going to let this cook off for about 2.5 hours. But I'm also going to keep coming back to check on it and add vegetables to it within that time period every 30 minutes or so. Okay, now also would be a good time to put your carrots in. You can dice them however you choose. You can leave carrots out completely, but I like how carrot is added to a meal. It makes it feel more hearty. Just like potatoes. Anytime I'm making curry of any sort, I love to add carrot and potato. And we're also adding tomato as well. Let's get everything moving around good. I also want to add in, because I did not show this, but I did chop up some Scotch bonnet pepper with the seeds and added it to the dish as well, just for an extra kick of spice because it wasn't enough.
Okay, the first 40 minutes or so have passed, and we still got some time to go. I'm just stirring it in just to take a glance at it. I like to check it every 30 to 45 minutes, just to make sure things are cooking well together. I'm gonna add my potatoes in the last half hour. I also took some time to taste the pot. I'm gonna take a little gravy and see if it needs some more salt, some more all-purpose, allspice, whatever it needs before we add in more vegetables later. Okay, we're adding some more all-purpose seasoning. I'm gonna add some salt. I'm gonna add some allspice. And some green seasoning. Add in some green seasoning. I'm also going to add in some pepper and some onion and garlic powder. I'm gonna make sure that the flavor is cooking with the meal. You don't want to just let it cook all the way through. You want to make sure you have flavor as it's cooking throughout the process, so that you don't have anything to add at the end and it'll be fully saturated into the meat. Also want to go in and add some minced ginger to the pot as well. Added some more ginger. I just really love the flavor that ginger adds to meat. I also added in some more water as well because we have another hour at least to cook. Okay, an hour and a half has gone by. So I'm just gonna go in and add some more vegetables to it. Add in bell pepper, green and red, and some thyme. Some more carrots. Some garlic. I did cloves of garlic, chopped it up, about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. onion. I have 2 different types of onion. I have sweet onion and yellow onion, and then some scallion as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my tomato ready. I'm sorry, not tomato, my potato ready as we're nearing the 2nd hour. I'm gonna keep it fresh with a lot of seasoning throughout the process. You don't want to just leave it to what you use to marinate the meat with the night prior, but you want to keep the dish fresh and flavorful. So that's why people tend to add additional full-on seasoning of the vegetables midway through the cooking process.
I'm also going in there with my potatoes. Potatoes, just like I said, add a nice heartiness to your bowl, to your plate, to your dish. And it also thickens up the gravy. So you also want to be very careful how soon and early you put that into the pot. You want to be close to finished when you're adding potatoes, because they will change the consistency. I definitely put mine in a little too early.
Okay, we're at about 2 hours and 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna taste the pot again and see if it needs some salt and season up, all-purpose, whatever else. But I'm also going to add some ram it up, which is, let me move over where the smoke won't mess up the picture. Ram it up seasoning. The meat in Jamaica tastes very different than American meat. The goat is more so like a ram, so I'm guessing why it's called ram it up. So this is to make the curry goat taste closer to curry goat in Jamaica, because their meat is definitely better quality than ours here. So this will give it that edge that it needs to taste authentically like Jamaica's. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in, the whole packet, and stir that around. But I want to go in and taste it and see if it's needing any additional seasoning. And then we're about done. It's been about 2.5 hours. I'm also going to taste the meat and see how tender it is to make sure it's completely done cooking or just about. Okay, so I'm going here, and this is done. I'm gonna get ready to plate everything, but it's nice and tender, the meat, and the process took about 2.5 hours total for about 3 pounds of goat meat.
And here it is. We have Jamaican curry goat rice and peas, plantain, and vegetable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.